when I watched the video, the main sentiment that I got after I closed the video, right? This whole thing is her trying to cover her tracks as much as possible. There's some form of either insincerity or something in it lah.
Has the Xiaxue video changed your mind about Sylvia? This is your daily catch-up.
Xiaxue.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying the Daily Catch-Up podcast, do remember to drop us a sub, like this video and hit that notification button. Sub here.
Also, since it's still October, we have our dose of COVID PSA. Dan, please.
Yeah, so we just found out that the Sinovac vaccine has been included in the National Vaccination Program for those who are unable to take the mRNA vaccines. So if you are unable to take it due to like medical reasons, you should take 3 doses of the Sinovac vaccine to complete the vaccination regime essentially. Also, if you had any like allergies or severe like adverse reactions when you took your first dose of the mRNA vaccine, you should take 2 more doses of Sinovac to complete that regime. Also, as the Sinovac vaccine has lower efficacy, persons who can take the mRNA vaccines should continue to do so. And also one last thing, we're nearly there. For those who are eligible to take the booster shot, right, please do so because it will give you higher protection against COVID-19. The Sinovac vaccine will not be offered as a booster for those who've had 2 doses of the mRNA vaccine without severe effects. So go read it up. There's information in the link below.
Read it up. Go read up on it.
Read up on it essentially.
Good day. It's time to do this crazy episode. You're ready?
Man. So, since our last episode that we did about NOC, which got outdated really fast.
Yes, one day.
Did not age well at all. A lot of new information has come out, right? So there was a blogspot called End the Silence, which revealed a lot more information than we had when we commented on the whole saga. And then just over the weekend, Sylvia appeared on Xiaxue's. I butchered her name. I'm so sorry. I can't. Wendy. I can't say Chinese names. Xiaxue. Okay, so she appeared on like Xiaxue's YouTube channel to kind of give her point, like her side of the whole story and things like that. And so we feel like we have now reached a point where we can kind of talk about it. It feels like there's a bit of like closure because she came out to apologize, and then SG Chicken Rice,
by the way, I clarified with them,
has also said like, okay, since Sylvia has apologized and said that she'll take accountability, we're going to stop commenting on this, and they really have. As of time of filming, chances are it's going to get outdated really soon.
Now you're scared. Now you're scared.
Are you checking?
No, wait. I asked them for permission. They never read my message.
So yeah, I guess the time is right to kind of talk about it. What do you guys read the blogspot and also watch the Xiaxue video?
Yes,
it's
and yes.
I did. I'm so glad. I told myself, I'm so done with this drama. At night, I read it until 11.
Interestingly, I took a poll yesterday, right, asking people like, whose side are you on after the Xiaxue videos out? So then the choices were Ryan, Sylvia, neither, because they're
Ryan, Sylvia, neither.
Yeah, and then the last one is I don't care anymore. I'm just sick and tired of this.
Say only lah.
Hey, but that's like majority of people pick last 2. Surprisingly, least people pick Ryan.
Interesting. When I did a poll before the Xiaxue video went out on do people care about Sylvia's side of the story, I expected it to be like 99% to say yes, just because they want to gossip and kepo. And then 25% say no need to hear already.
But it's whether they feel like the evidence is so damning that they don't want to hear excuses, or whether they are tired of the whole saga.
Maybe your 25% are the people that reply on mine that say that they're not interested.
Yeah.
You know, I thought was also funny, which I burst out loud. I think it was Darren that shared it, right? Someone said, wow, this is a longer runtime than Venom. And I was like, yes, yeah.
Wait, so like we know that from the previous episode, both of y'all came under quite a bit of flack. Got quite a bit of flack for that. Do y'all think your stance has changed? Okay, for mine, at least, I think I felt like I was a little bit misunderstood, but I feel like my stance has also changed back and forth throughout that last week.
I want to say this is the first time Dan kena on the internet. It was a very stressful endeavor for him. I was like, first time.
I think it's just because I really wanted to play devil's advocate, because at that point in time, everyone was really just punching on Sylvia and hounding, and then I think no one was like trying to look at the other side of the situation. What if a lot of things were taken out of context? What if actually, you know, there's more to this lah? And I think my gripe also was that yes, we should not normalize toxic behavior in the workplace or toxic cultures, but But
It's time for John's dance.
but I also feel like based on the information we had back then, which at that point of time the worst thing was calling Samantha a face and just saying fuck a lot in the workplace, right? I felt like cancelling someone because of that felt a little extreme, because when you cancel someone, you don't really give them the chance for redemption. Right? And I love a good redemption.
Sure.
You get a very because when someone's cancelled, they're angry, right? They don't feel like, hey, I want to be accountable now. I'm like, hey, I want to like take on the world, right? As opposed to like going through, like going to MOM, TAFEB, NTUC or whatever to say, hey, look, like my boss is being like this, and then they can be accountable in that sense lah. So based on the information, that was my stance. It has obviously changed in some stance because there were more allegations. But now after watching the Xiaxue's video, my stance is that I feel like I don't think Sylvia has redeemed herself, but I think this is a culmination, right, of a dysfunctional relationship that had bled into a business relationship, and so that dysfunction from that marriage, right, bled into all these different behaviors. And so it doesn't make any the actions right. They need to be accountable to all those actions. But I think like it really just stems from that, and it's so shag. Can I stop talking now? Can someone take over?
Sounds like Danny to go on Xiaxue to explain his side.
Nobody cares.
Who this guy?
So my stand, since the previous episode,
I feel so light after coming. Okay, you go.
My stance is the same. I still stand by what I said. I mean, granted what Dan said, that there's a lot of things that we didn't know back then. Obviously made the matters worse. But I think in the previous episode, we were not really supporting Sylvia in that sense.
We weren't.
We were just more of taking a meta approach to how these things do happen and can be taken out of context. And after hearing Sylvia's side, it's true. I feel like it's what we talked about, what we assumed that could have caused these things. We were right, and the fact that we know that is because we ourselves have met people like that, or we ourselves have gone through things like that cause us to change as a person because we have to react and adapt to the environment.
What I was wondering is also that, right, I think we spoke about, in our private conversations, we spoke about the anchoring bias, right? About how because Sylvia's side of the story came out first, and then everyone has painted Ryan as that super good guy, right? And so I think...
Which I do not doubt.
Right. Okay. Neither do I to some extent, but I'm just wondering, like, if Ryan's bad deeds, in a sense, had come out first, right, would he still be on the same pedestal that he's on now?
I think it's hard to say also, because it feels like because Sylvia is that type of, again, we go back to bad cop, good cop, right? Whether it was more extreme than that. Obviously, I think Ryan would have been more liked by the people in the organization because of the role he played as a boss there, right? He would have had more support come out. And I think if you have all these different influencers who obviously have a lot of influence over a lot of their followers, all come out in support of Ryan suddenly, right? Then I think they have that sway, lor. Yeah.
But likewise, we called it, right, when we talked about Sylvia. Like, why didn't anyone stand up for Sylvia? It could also be that she did. Like, we did. Yeah. So one thing we talked about in previous episode that might not have made the cut was that why didn't her supporters come out to say that, hey, Sylvia's not terrible. It could also be that it's just a fight not worth fighting anymore, and she could be reassuring her people to say, I don't need you all to put yourself on the line for this because I know it's not going to change like the tide of anything. Yeah, and she did say in her account with Xiaxue that why would I ask the remaining loyal people to put themselves in the line of fire, just defend me. Yeah.
She did speak about it. I think she said that like Nina, who's actually Ryan's cousin, has been on her side lah, kind of in the situation. And then she's been getting a lot of flack from her own family for kind of like being on Sylvia's side of things.
So I'm at the point whereby I feel like, I mean, I don't know whether they consider me friends, right? But I spoke to the both of them after this thing happened. I've never actually met Ryan. He DM'd me after our Dikosh episode. And that's how we have this online relationship. And likewise with Sylvia, that couple hours of filming friendship, right? And so where I see from this as someone that it's on more neutral side is that this is just a pursuit of money and business that has just shown both their ugly sides. It might not be who they are. It's just, this is their uglier side, lor. It's just a pursuit of money. And I could see where both are coming from. And both are valid. Both are wrong. Both have paid the price. And this is the price, oh. Like, you want to keep this up, this charade, this whatever it is, right? And then you pay the price, Like, you get away with it, then that's a shitty thing. But this, if if you don't get away with it, then this is one of the price that you need to pay. And we can see it's on like a huge stage.
Do you think that she should have done the video with Xiaxue?
I think no, because right, I feel like she might be saying stuff on camera that because she has criminal allegations that is under investigation, right? So it kind of feels like she might be setting herself up for failure in a sense. Or certain things she says still sounds sus to me lah, that like I think might run into trouble, especially like for example her brother. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were some questions that she didn't really address or actually made things worse for her in some sense.
I think her only
Like what?
Like I think when Xiaxue asked her about, am I saying her name right? Like asked her about the brother, for example. I think that was a good one. And I can't remember. I think like towards the end when she was really asking about all the allegations that came out on the blogspot, I think the way how she answered it, I think she didn't really answer the question head on. She took very long to like go, like she was quite long-winded about it. Like it felt as though she was not addressing the issue head on, and she didn't really have a proper answer for it. So like I think with the Sikin one, for example, like people did say like, how come you asked the finance manager to pay Sikin a salary so that he can get his PR? But if you're saying that like her excuses were like, Sikin acted for us like all these years ago, but it doesn't mean that he's still a regular employee, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and maybe she insinuated that or implied that, but she wasn't answering the question head on.
Right.
And it felt like it made her look a little bit worse lah. But I also think that other parts kind of made her look better in some sense. Like, I feel like if she did it on her own channel, she couldn't address a lot of those same things the way she could. So like having like breaking down, crying, addressing to someone the pain or something, right? It'd be very weird if she spoke on the camera and did that.
right.
Which is her own channel, by the way.
The Thirsty Sisters podcast.
Which is NOC property, right?
Right.
Or like her own IG lah.
Right.
Like an IGTV.
It has to be can you imagine the fact that she couldn't have done it on her own channel? Because that requires her team to shoot,
Yeah.
her team to edit.
And if her finance manager already locked out of accounts, can you imagine like what else she's been locked out of lah?
Yeah. I understand from John Paul that you feel like she shouldn't have done the interview.
Oh yeah, okay. No, I feel like I think that after watching the whole thing, right, I think it didn't help her at all.
At all.
I think it made her look even worse because the questions that she had to answer, she was avoiding them. She was using like emotional reasons and whatever to try and justify certain things that she was doing. And then everything else that she answered was basically, that's why when you said like some things help us to see her in a better light, right? I couldn't see it at all. To me, it just looked like she is dragging everybody else down with her because she has nowhere else to go already.
But then so my question to that is, right, if that is the truth, and then her coming out to defend herself and telling the truth, right, that's the only thing she can say to clear her name, right?
Yeah.
Like what could she have said?
So to me, that's why I asked whether she should have done the interview. Because I think everything is already in public because of the nature of how this whole thing started, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to resolve it in the public eye first.
Yeah.
I think there will be a time where she does need to address it, but it shouldn't have been in the thick of it.
So you think it should have been done similar to the divorce, where they settle everything already, and then they come up with a video to be accountable to their audience?
Yeah, quite possibly.
But
Like,
I think
when
I don't think that will be possible. I feel like the company is bleeding right now,
yeah.
and the employees are getting bolder and bolder because of public sentiment.
But you already know who is standing with you and who is standing against you already, right?
But that's
So at
besides
that
the point, what?
Yeah.
As you want to find out dirt, I feel like I can find on it. I feel like you can find screenshots that will incriminate me. I can find screenshots of things you said that will incriminate you. It's who's bolder, right?
I think the part of the video that suddenly turned for me and made me go, okay, if this was true, I can completely understand where she's coming from. Which was when she said that a lot of the dispute that she's having with Ryan now regarding commercial agreements, right, is that Ryan wants her to buy him out. And he is valuing NOC at a very high price. And she knows that if she pays that 51% or 49%.
Our estimate is $20 million valuation.
So if it's $10 million, then obviously it's going to cripple the company lah. And then when she said that, but if NOC's reputation go down to the ground and the valuation of NOC is so low and the valuation is like this because Sylvia is their leader and the valuation might increase when another leader comes in, then Ryan can buy her out at $200,000 if like the price just completely goes down. Then suddenly everything makes sense lah. Like as to why a possible motive as to why this.
Do you think that's what's happening though?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Which is that I think right, she can make it look that way right now with this video and whatever she's saying, and that's the story she's trying to craft.
Yeah.
Because that is if everybody is as scheming as we deem them to be.
Yeah, no, so I'm not saying that it's true. I'm saying that if it is true, then she cannot be waiting 5 years from now to suddenly address all of this. If it actually is true and the reputation is going down and she's going to lose a company because the valuation and reputation is going down, she needs to address it as soon as possible.
But not publicly lah. She can prove this in court. Right? But why does she need to release this?
How can you prove this in court though? Saying that someone is trying to bring you down publicly in order to gain control of your company.
And your value of your company is dependent on whether you can get clients or not, and that is publicly facing, whether you have good standing, whether you can still get a lot of views.
Like before the Xiaxue episode, right, we looked at it and what is the way out for NOC? Like before the episode came out, what was the way out for NOC to continue as a business? Don't have already. It feels like it has to be Ryan take over.
Yeah.
It may not be something that he schemed for, but it was starting to look like a very real possibility, a realization that came very late. I mean, I don't know that enough to know whether they are scheming or not. I feel like if you can plan 10 steps ahead, that makes you scheming as a person. It's a good thing or a bad thing depending on whether it benefits you or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Not? Because at the end of the day, every marketing plan is a manipulating plan also. How good are you depends on whether you benefited or you lost money in the endeavor.
Or when it becomes like at the cost of other people lah, then that becomes a problem. Right?
But literally, if I do a marketing plan, I'm trying to get people that otherwise wouldn't buy my product to part with money to buy my product. Right? That's a cost to people.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, the question that you brought up is why should she address this now rather than later, right? Is that even or not, whether or not Ryan or his supporters were scheming this has become a real reality, because if he was trying to get Sylvia to buy him out so that he has capital to start Reno King, it's a very real possibility for him to just go and take over NOC now and do that. And so then if she's really about to lose something that she's built from the ground up, then I would assume that she really would need to address this as soon as possible.
I feel like the way she addressed it was not right. Like the suicide thing, I feel like that's a bit much. Or she would come with a lot more caveat, suicide warnings and whatnot.
I think that falls on both Sylvia and Xiaxue. I think Xiaxue should have edited that part out. Yeah, it's damn disrespectful. Yeah.
I think she shouldn't have gone into such detail about it.
Even if she... No, she just shouldn't have published it at all.
But if
it doesn't make a difference to anything.
It makes a huge difference.
No, I think it makes a difference if... Because that time, once we saw it, right, then I got asked, then you all showed me that actually Ryan got talked about this before in an earlier post, like a few years back, right? But there was no new information, I feel, with regards to the suicide portion that helps this situation. She could have briefly mentioned it, but other than that, right, the details...
So you let him finish.
Yeah, but the details like don't help, and you're outing somebody, like, it's horrible.
No. I've been talking a lot as well.
No, you've been saying I only. You go.
As in, I feel very strongly about this because I think, like, I know people in my life who have obviously gone through depression and have also attempted suicide, and so like it is quite sensitive to me. And so when it first came up on video, I was like, oh my god, why are they talking about this? This feels very uncomfortable. But I think looking at the grand scheme of things, after watching the entirety of the video, right, I think it was important for Sylvia to establish a pattern of why or how she could turn out this way, whether or not it's true. I think it was unnecessary for Xiaxue to say how many times did he commit suicide. I thought that was just unnecessary. But I related back to myself, right? Like if Nat was having really bad like relationships at work, and then she told me like, hey, I want to kill myself because like everyone at work just hates me or like wants to betray me or leave me and that kind of thing, I'm going to come out and confront whoever is like making life hell for her. And
especially if you're in the position of power to do so.
Exactly. And if this happens every month, right, I can imagine how I can turn into someone who suddenly becomes super protective of her and very antagonist towards a lot of people. And so I think it was important for her, I guess, in some sense, to maybe not justify why she's been a toxic person, but just to give the viewers some explanation as to, she said, I don't recognize the person that I am right now. I've changed as a person. When I first heard that, I went, this feels like an excuse, you know. But as she's explaining that, I suddenly went, okay, I don't like what she did, but I can understand how she turned out this way. And so I think, I agree that maybe it was too much of that suicide conversation. I think there was just too much unnecessary information, but I felt like it was important for Sylvia to like say a little bit of it.
For me, I think regarding that part of the conversation, right, like what stood out was, I had that thought of like, why is she trying to say that he's using his mental health or like suicide threats like against her to manipulate her,
like weaponizing it.
Yeah, that could totally be an assumption from her side, and from his end, he could really just be going through this. But then I think what kind of maybe I wouldn't say change my mind, but it helped me empathize with her a bit more was when I saw the receipts that came out. Like when I saw the one of her messages to Ryan saying, "I'll protect you, I'll cure you." Like that really like kind of helped me see her point of view in that moment. Like the amount of love she had for him at that point and how she really wanted to protect him.
I don't think he, based on what I know of him again and really just gathering and my ability as an empath, I don't think he weaponized his suicide thing. I think it was purely circumstantial. And as a partner, you deal with the circumstance of whatever your partner is. You deal with the brokenness of it.
I think he weaponized it, but unconsciously.
Yeah. As in, it turned to be something that she has to react to. But I don't think he was trying to use it as a chip.
Yeah, I don't think he used it purposefully lah.
Yeah, I think he really was just very down in life and finds a lot of triggers in life, and then she kind of needs to protect that from him.
I think like to me, after watching the video, I pretty much fall under the I don't really care at this point. Like I'm kind of wondering what is the bigger conversation or more useful conversation that we can have, because one, the police allegations, criminal allegations are being handled by the relevant authorities.
Yep.
Even down to the toxic workplace and everything, right? If it's really something that should be brought up with MOM or whoever, right? Feels like that's going to the relevant places already. Her name has been dragged through the mud now that Ryan's name is also like being thrown into the mix as well. Like, out of all these, right, what stands out to me was the mental health conversation and like how that really affected both of them. Yeah.
I felt like this whole episode gives a very good glimpse of like human nature in that sense. I mean, yeah, the ugliness and the mob mentality and cancel culture, cool that. But I think what I always talk about, like in little drips every single episode, right, where possible, right, is the fact that we could see how we saw what Sylvia was or how she was painted, whether or not they were true, right? And we saw her name get dragged through the mud, and then she had information that she could say, but couldn't find the right platform or the proper way to deliver it until she went on Xiaxue's video to kind of deliver it. And after saying the truth as it is, and which to me is not a justification, but it's a good enough explanation.
Yep.
And I feel like she did explain herself. And I feel like the takeaway from most people is that, now you're just dragging people through the mud. Now, how can you talk about other people's suicide things like it's so private? But for her, that's the truth, right? That is the truth of what it became so. And some people are stuck in circumstances that they just cannot talk about this.
Wow. Okay, when I watched the video, the main sentiment that I got after I closed the video, right, is that this whole thing is her trying to cover her tracks as much as possible, her trying to get as much sympathy as possible. I felt there was no truth. Because even though she can pull out receipts here and there and do all this, right, like a lot of it stems from an antagonistic intent. So like there are little things that, like, even in the comments you see people noticing like her mannerisms and all that, and how if she's stuck and she's trying to avoid the truth or answering the question, right, then there are little things that appear, and I can tell from it like there's some form of either insincerity or something in it lah, at least from what I gather. And with all the evidence that had come out before that already, right, you could see evidence of the kind of like monster that she became. Even if this is all the reasoning that led up to that, right, I feel like this video and who she was in that video, right, was still that same like end product. Yeah, and I think she's really completely trying to, I think she's still stuck in this whole game of trying to manipulate and present in the best way possible to win a game.
But
which I don't doubt I don't doubt that's the agenda, because that's what I would do also. That's what you would do also.
Yeah, but then because of that, right, at the end of the whole video, right, I have even less like sympathy and whatever for her.
Maybe not sympathy. Help. Do you feel like you understand better why she did what she did? That it was not from the point of I'm just an ugly human being.
But everybody goes through life, is you choose whether you want to become the monster or whether you can come out of it better and be like the bigger person ma. So everything that she has said, right, like what you mentioned, right, doesn't justify any of her actions after this already.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I think, right, she tried to become the bigger person.
But it didn't happen.
All the way to the point where she realized she can no longer become the bigger person.
Right.
And then she's like, okay, I'm going down already.
But
I need
actually,
to last ditch.
I'm not sure whether this is true, but then based on what the timelines that she mentioned in the video, it seems like a lot of the stuff that people were bringing up were actually from years ago or at least last year. Right? So then I'm wondering, and she mentioned she did start going to see a therapist because last year when she reflected, she realized that like perhaps like she doesn't even recognize the person who she is anymore. So then in that sense, do you think she's already improving? Because you mentioned that like she's still the monster that she is, right? But
is monster too harsh or not?
No, she used. I think if I'm not wrong, she used her own words lah. But anyway.
Okay.
So that makes it okay.
Yeah, that's fine then.
But she did mention that like last year when she realized that she did start going to therapy, so maybe she has been becoming better. I'm not sure. Okay, feel free to correct me.
Yeah.
They will.
I think this one a bit difficult for us to question because we don't know enough, right?
Yeah.
But
if
it doesn't look to me like she's a different person. Like what I'm saying is that I still see that same person that I saw in the videos that got leaked and the video that I see in Xiaxue's video.
So back to my initial question about anchoring bias, right? If all the information had come out about Ryan first and then she's coming out with the same information, right? Do you think you would still perceive her to be as manipulative?
Wait, so everything came out about Ryan, then after that, then everything came out about her lah?
Yeah.
Then Ryan went on Xiaxue's show and come out.
Well, I think a lot of the issues that Ryan is being called out for or that she brought up in this video, right, are stuff that hasn't really affected other people on a very, very personal level besides their relationship.
Okay.
Whereas for her, right, she's using the problems in the relationship as an excuse to be unprofessional and towards other people.
I see.
So the real issue is that Sylvia's issues affect so many people, but actually Ryan's problems only affect Sylvia.
Yeah, that's a really good point, sir.
Yeah.
Here's an unpopular opinion which I don't know whether I'm prepared to say on air.
Let's
Right?
hear it.
That, of course, both of them are imperfect and no one is, right? No one is an angel in this. Everybody had their own reason and actually pretty good reasons to do certain things. But understanding how this works and putting it based on my own experience of running company as well, I don't think Ryan would have brought NOC to the level that Sylvia did.
Actually, a lot of people commented about that. Like, they don't believe that Sylvia matters that much to the company. Like, how much can one person matter?
Yeah, and I do believe it's a lot. Because we've been in circumstances, and Dan has been through also, where in protection of one, you have to go after another, and you kind of choose who you protect as well. Yeah, and I feel like everybody wants to be liked. We go back to that, right? Everybody wants to be liked. To the point whereby we need to correct certain actions, to the point where we need people to get in line, which has to happen at work. And if you want to be liked so much that you have an inability to do that, someone needs to step up. And if there's someone steps up for you, you need to have that person's back. That's where I see this thing going wrong. Yeah, not justifying the point where, I mean, she doesn't have to be a nasty person. Yeah, she still doesn't have to be a nasty person. But that's where I saw in the business. And I feel like perhaps Ryan can run it today onwards because NOC has reached a certain level. Yeah, because this saga has happened, Ryan knows how to hire the correct people to bring it forward. It's easy to be, I would believe to run Coca-Cola today. It's easier to do that than to try and bring Coca-Cola from somebody's recipe and bring it to what it is today.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ryan could have done that without Sylvia. And Sylvia paid a lot of the price, like today, to get this done.
Wait, what do you mean by she paid the price?
Like to get there,
she lived in a world whereby nobody liked her. I think that's damn shit feeling. You know what I mean? Like, even though she can personally justify it has to be done, whether or not you have to do it in a way that's disrespectful to people, even being the person that's feared in the office. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is a shit feeling. Nobody wants to be that person.
But there's a difference between being feared and being disliked. Like, these people don't like her.
Yeah.
They have conflicts with her to the point that they leave the company. Like, that's very different from just you being feared, but you're being authoritative enough to get shit done and to help our organization to rise.
But in some regards,
I think it's great lah. I honestly think it's great. If you have two bosses and one of the boss is the one that gives you reward and works with you and sit beside you and stay with you till
I help you
late.
talk to the other boss or this.
And then the other boss is the one that's saying, hey, it's 6 o'clock already, why is it not done? can you stay and finish it tonight?
Yeah, but that's the problem. She wasn't saying that. Like in the first video that we did.
So I'm not saying that she can do that. I'm not saying that's justified. But I'm saying one person needs to do that role if the other person is going to play good cop lah, in their words.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. It's just that he has a way that, I mean, obviously, which no one is perfect for. Neither do they have perfect employees. Neither was this handled in the correct manner. Now no one has a livelihood.
Yeah.
Actually, something else I'm curious about is also she mentioned how the overworking, like what we kind of brought up, right, is seasonal, which I think we would all understand because like now year end we're also a lot more busy and all that, right? But then there were also people that kind of like spoke out against it, saying that like should that be normal? Then like working till like 3 or 4 a.m. I'm just curious, like why is it that it kind of maybe only happens to that extreme extent to NOC? While to us it's like still okay, as much as possible we still try to like not work after work hours and all that.
I would say, right, that because Sylvia is getting cancelled for it, right, in my back of my mind I was like, remember to tell the niece that she can take off in lieu, remember? So cancel culture actually works.
No wonder Dan keep asking me. Help you talk to John,
Please don't screenshot and cancel her.
But do you think it's that difference?
I think no one should be made to work until 3 a.m. period, but if they do, they should be compensated or they should be given off in lieu, right? But I think it makes sense that when it happens during peak period, it happens because these are the number of employees that we have. And then when we suddenly get to March or April when there's not that much work, right? It's not like we're suddenly going to fire people, right? It's not like we're going to hire new people in December and then fire them in March. So then we're going to stick with this amount of employees. There's going to be a time where everyone's very free and there's going to be a time where everyone's going to be very busy.
Which also means there will be a time whereby the company loses money paying salary, and then there will be times that the company needs to make up for lost money. Because I feel like, okay, in the past, right, I also work in marketing startups, right, whereby we also work until 1 to 3 a.m. Not often, to be honest. But during seasons, we still have to do it. But we self-justify. Maybe, I mean, I'm not saying that I completely understand what the stuff in the NOC is going through. But in my own experience, right, there's this understanding that the next day, we're supposed to reach at 9, right? But we reach at 9:30, we reach at 9:45. We take unnecessarily long smoke breaks and lunch breaks. Or we spend the afternoon playing Nerf gun chasing around each other in office. Until it's time to get
Wait, where's this office?
No, it's
I got my own Nerf gun. My first day of work.
So we don't complain in that sense because we know that we could have spent the entire day working. But right, once we hit the tipping point, right, somebody just does something shitty to us, makes us want to quit, right?
All this.
Now you tell me to explain my company culture, right?
Yeah.
They work us until 3 a.m. There's completely no discipline. The boss comes late. I also come late, what? I also do nothing in the daytime, what? There are also times where I got no job. I also didn't manage to bring in sales and didn't manage to execute. But nobody remembers that once everything is sour. You ask me to explain the culture. This is what it is.
It feels like that's the same in a relationship also. Like sometimes
you
like in a
very
bad
much
relationship,
yeah.
a bad breakup, right? You only remember the bad. Yeah. And
It's
very,
human
very
nature.
difficult to process and remember that actually there was so much good out of it also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
500 Days of Summer. No, I felt like she made a lot of mistakes during the video, and I think name dropping was one of them because she could have easily just explained herself and then try and minimize the number of people that would try and retaliate against the video, right? By naming all these people, obviously they're going to retaliate against this video.
Which they did,
and then it draws out of focus any other points that she wants to make, whether or not they were going to be justified or not.
What vibes do y'all get post video? Do y'all feel like her detractors take it down a notch or they ramped up?
I think she definitely gained a little bit of sympathy from a small group. But for the most part, I think I know only for me it didn't help at all .
My sensing is, right, after she did that, right,
now it's more equal playing field.
it's equal.
Yeah.
Like the people that were a lot more vocal, right, pull back a little bit.
Even the chicken rice also like say they stop after her apology, right?
Yeah. I don't know whether anything happened in the background.
I also feel like it's confirmed something happened in the background.
It could be. Most likely, this kind of cases is that the lawyers between each other meet and say what do you actually want from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if no crime was committed, she's not going to go to jail for this. It's unnecessary to say let's shut down NOC. You want her to step down from $1 million baby. Would you?
Yeah.
Right. What do you want from this? We want another public apology. Like, okay, then we drop it.
Yeah.
That's probably
And
what
at the
happened.
end, just now also what you mentioned was that like what how can NOC come out of this? Right? Or how can Sylvia come out of this? But whether or not this video came out, do you think it would have made much of a difference either way for her like career-wise or whatever? Because by the law, it's going to be pretty much fixed, right? Depending on whether she did or didn't commit those crimes. But with regards to her career and her personal life, all that, the damage has already been done even before the Xiaxue video came out. So how does doing this video change that for her?
I think it doesn't help her, but I think it helps the talents that support her and are very quiet at the moment. Because
but do you know who they are?
I mean, I don't want to name drop lah.
Names.
No, you know who's supporting her quietly.
As in, you can kind of make a few guesses, those that are not against her lah.
Right.
And have been visible in the videos as being close to her in some sense.
I think it helped her.
How so?
I think once again, she didn't try and adjust her. She didn't. She should have probably, but she didn't address how all these things made her do certain things. But I think it made clear what drove her to that level. It's like murdering will always be wrong. But if I tell you that this person raped my daughter, you kind of understand, but I'm still wrong. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of where it is now. Not saying any party is bad. I feel like both parties is human. It just got ugly because it got big.
Yeah. But so you were saying like it didn't help for you at all, right? Do you think your circle of friends that discussed about it, maybe if you did or not, like were they kind of in the same boat as you?
Quite a few. Most people were like, wow, actually Xiaxue not so bad, yeah. Wow, hey, Ryan Saga, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Humans
they all swayed immediately, but they are all, every time they ask me, right, they are all in it for the drama.
Yeah.
Then I like ask them, just shut up lah. That's damn annoying. Like I'm trying to figure out like what are the intentions behind everything that she's saying. So like
your advice to Sylvia, your advice to Sylvia as a personal friend, let's say you are, right, is that I encourage you to continuously suffer in silence and take the high road. Don't let anybody understand how it got this far, is it?
I would say take a step back, address and talk to the people that really matter to you right now.
Like which she probably has.
Okay, yeah.
But still being dragged through the mud.
So right, at the end of the video, she said one of the main reasons why she need to come out publicly and say all this is because her mother
Channel 8
saw this on the news
she
or whatever.
poor mother, I'm a bit sus TBH. Sorry if it's true, but
why? How is that the right reason to do this? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't justify anything at all for me. Like if your mother know, then
no. But if your mother is breaking down and saying, "Can you please tell everybody that you are not this bad person?"
Just like how my mother is the reason I quit my previous job, and
and
say please quit, please don't work there anymore.
Yeah, but that's behind the scenes. It's not like she's going out in front of your company and hold one big sign and say, "Yeah, let John leave." You know?
No, but if she's
because not public, what?
Yeah, if she's pleading to you,
but it doesn't justify at all. It's not even a reason for her for why she needs to go.
You're still on
publicly and do all this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So okay, as her friend,
if I were her friend, I tell her go and talk to your mother. Be there for your mother.
Done already. She talked to her friends already. She secured the people that support her already. Her name was still being dragged through the mud on the day the video was released.
Yeah, because
more and more people are getting more and more emboldened and more vocal. How do you address? She tried to address what
she's been on the internet for 10 plus years. This is not her first scandal. I mean,
but
it might
this
be
is the crazy
first scandal.
Okay, it's the biggest, but she's on the internet. She should know how it works. Everybody who's related to her or close to her at least should understand the way her industry is already at this point. I mean,
so what would you tell her to do?
Tahan no.
Just continue tahan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tahan. I mean, if you're going for therapy and you're really fixing everything about you and understanding the bigger picture already,
that helps her become a better person. But people, once again, this is completely, I'm just painting a picture just to see how you answer, right?
Yeah.
She can go to therapy, she feel better about herself. She can go be therapy and be a better leader. But the world won't give her another chance anymore. Because she felt like she was betrayed and she was let down and that the company needed some discipline and she was the only one willing to do it. Because of those actions, her and her co-founders and the managers and the directors within the company can become rich.
Yeah, but at this point, is it you see, right? Then you are conflating two things. One is yourself and all your personal issues. The other is somebody else getting rich off of all this. Or it's a business thing or whatever. I think they are two separate things.
Of the same thing, two sides of the same coin, no?
I think the main complicated part about this is how intertwined these two are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like what Dan mentioned in the beginning, right? It really just seems like a toxic relationship get way out of hand. And then it really affected everyone that was in the company and to this extent.
We talked about, I mean, in other episodes beyond this. Once again, I have no idea what's going on and I'm not defending anybody, okay? I'm just taking from a meta point of view, okay?
That's what we're all doing.
Yeah, that's what we're all doing, right?
We're not trying to side anyone.
I feel like trying to make a conversation. I feel like trying to cite Sylvia, but it's just not true. I care about both of them.
Okay, but if say you are Sylvia's friend, like the question thrown back to you guys, like what will you all do? What advice would you all give her?
I wouldn't give advice.
No,
Way
sorry.
out my league.
Before the Xiaxue video. Before doing the Xiaxue video.
Or if she comes to you asking whether she should do the video, you'll say she should.
Yes.
Assuming Xiaxue. Can be anybody else
Sure,
technically.
It can be anybody else.
It could be us.
me.
Yeah.
Cannot. Too much.
So now Ryan needs to call us.
I think if everything or almost everything that she said on Xiaxue was true, and I knew that this was true, I would tell her in some way to get this out to get this information out.
Who else can leak this for you? Right? Who else can say it for you? This kind of thing you have to say by
She
yourself.
got tried to
Exclusive
make some
with
stuff on her
Mothership.
own, no, but didn't turn out well.
The
Mothership,
one.
Rise Media. Like Xiaxue is obviously the drama avenue.
Yeah.
So go to somebody else lah.
But I think if there's all this information, like weeks of information against you, right? You kind of want to get the maximum amount of people to watch at the same time, right? All your information that you want to get out.
Okay, then let me ask you all. Do you all think Xiaxue did a good interview?
I think there were points where she did try to lead her back to the main point, like try to segment, say, okay, let's finish talking about this before we move on. But then, I think there were also points that she missed lah. I don't know whether she missed or she asked and it got cut out. So
For the
Up in
most
the
part,
air.
knowing who Xiaxue is, right? I think if she's trying to get something out of you, she will. But I think she let a lot of things slide with Sylvia. Or either that or it was cut out. You know what I mean?
But I think that's the nature of an in-person interview.
But she also had that outro where she pieced together the conspiracy for, I think,
It's true.
no reason.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I believe... I mean, Xiaxue's friend with both of them, by the way.
Oh.
I think she just really wants to give a place where she can just say her stuff.
Platform.
Without being interrupted. Without being cornered and put on the spot.
right.
Like, you just say what you want to say, or you kept quiet for so long already. Just say, then you try and dig. If you evade, I don't go already. That's probably the approach I would take also.
right.
Yeah. Because what's the point you try and corner her in her own tell-all? Then she gut up. Then everything she don't want to say because you're going to take it and twist it. You know, there are interviewers that will say, so what you are trying to say is that Ryan weaponized his suicide against you? But no, that's not what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Why are you twisting my words, you know?
I think at the end of the day, again, I disagree with some follow-up questions that she had, but I think she had to balance between I'm a safe person you can talk to, but also I need to ask what everyone's asking.
Yeah. She managing her comment section actually. So that people will be like, oh my god, you never ask anything.
Right.
Yeah.
She also did say though, like I hope I asked everything that you want to say. Like hopefully, like no one's gonna complain if I miss out anything.
Yeah. I feel like
Which
it
I
was
guess
her
she
job to really ask, but not her job to probe. At the end of the day, we talk about talking out about your problems, right? Letting truth prevail. Don't be judgmental towards other people. Yet at the same time, with persons of leadership, right? The advice is to suck it up. Which I have attempted to take the high road 99.9% of my life. But then there are times where I'll be like,
The high road too steep.
no, like the high road, then I feel like I'm a big person, right? For myself only.
Right.
Whereas the world thinks I'm a or rather, what I perceive the world to think I'm a It's like, what's the point of taking high road? You protect the reputations of everybody involved. So what? If I have a bigger purpose, right? If let's say taking the high road allows me to continue doing business, continue building on my success, right? And getting 10-20% increments year on year on business growth, right? I feel like I understand why I'm taking the high road, right?
Yeah.
Not to go into detail with what happened in the past, right? For me, we never did address what happened to Real Talk 1. There are bad stories that happen that talk about, oh, you know what, John must be a f***ed up person, or the Real Talk crew abandoned him. Me not coming out to address what happened is me trying to take the high road. Why is it easier for me to take the high road? Because I know that whether I address or not address, I'm still going to continue making money building this business. If I don't have this business to build, why would I take the high road? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
There's no more NOC to continue if she doesn't explain herself, you know. Nothing to go back to, nothing to keep quiet so that I can still retain my honorable leadership position and have my current troops follow me. No more already. There's nothing to go back to. I feel like because she did that, she now has something to rebuild.
So you think you work with
Meta.
NOC
Huh?
after this?
Will I what?
If at the end of the day she's still in charge of NOC, will you still work with NOC after this? Like say as a client.
Time. I think it needs time. I think many ways to do things. They can spawn off a web channel, understanding the growth hacking thing, spawn a new face. They created so many stars. Not just because they put people on the NOC channel, it's because they understand the formula to make their personality stand out, right? Then create sub-channels that are not connected lor. 1 year later, 2 years later, you look at the Gush Cloud scandal. You think they will go down I was in the business I also think it was going to go down.
We joined Gush Cloud after the scandal.
I mean, it's a lot of things taken out of context. Okay, the bosses took a high road, never really fully addressed, but they also admitted to some faults.
Yeah,
and then they move on because there was something to build.
And I don't know about you, but because you joined the company post scandal, it feels like you're almost there as part of the rebuild.
Right. Yeah,
and you're part of this new phase.
I feel like some branding cycle needs to happen. Sylvia needs to lie low. Ryan can perhaps take over. Sylvia can hire a senior management. I think it can still be done.
On the note of if I take it to a more flip side, right? Because I think right now the conversation is a lot on Sylvia versus Ryan, whose side are you on? But then most of the complaints of all the workplace grievances and all that actually comes from the employees. So now that they have called out Sylvia to this extent, I don't think they will continue working with the company already. Or I'm wondering what do they want to get out of this? Is it to ensure that future people who work in NOC don't receive the same treatment? I mean, personally, I don't see what each of them gain from this expose. And
maybe some people can afford to leave the company and go elsewhere. Maybe some cannot.
Right.
And then, but they're all still friends.
Right.
So maybe this is an attempt to help improve the environment for those people who are still in need.
I also think it's two things. One is that maybe it's that power revenge, right? If someone has exercised their power on you for so long, it's that sudden need that I've gained back this power. You are now cancelled and I finally have that back. That's quite a shock feeling. I can imagine if you are there for 2-3 years and you feel victimized for so long, you would want that power play. And maybe the other two is a little bit more altruistic, where you hope that the whole industry, if it's similar to this, changes also because of this case where you have bosses thinking twice about shit, should I treat employees this way or not? Hopefully.
On the note of we received quite a bit of comments on how you don't have to use swear words at work at all, right? Back to the point of you can be assertive, don't have to be nasty. What do you think about that? Because I mean, internally in our company, all that swearing and all that is quite common.
But it's the use of the swearing.
It's the way you use it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We've never said what the fuck are you doing, but we've said, yo, what the fuck is that?
That sounds a bit peggo.
Damn talented.
Wow, this is funny, hey, this is a good job. Better example.
Yeah, that was just now that one wasn't.
Yeah, that was a brain fart. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching.
I feel like by the time this episode goes out, there'll be more shit and then it'll be outdated again. Then our whole opinions change again.
Gotcha.
But anyway, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Oh, before that, so there's been an announcement about several things. So as you know, the government has been mentioning that we're going to be slowly resuming, safe resumption of activities soon, right? And so there's a couple of things that they've announced. The first is that home recovery has been expanded to eligible pregnant women as well. If you are below 35 years old, if you are less than 26 weeks pregnant, and also you've been clinically assessed to be suitable for home recovery. The other thing which will also make employees in Gravity very happy is that from January 1st, 2022, you soon will be able to return to the workplace, but only if you're fully vaccinated or if you recovered from COVID-19 in the past 270 days. So do take note of that. And also, unvaccinated employees are not allowed to return to the workplace unless they have a valid negative pre-event test results. So
we are fully vaccinated as a company. I hope yours is also.
We are. So we'll soon see everyone in the office soon.
Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Do give us a like, a sub, a comment, and hit that notification button. So weird to be the one to say it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.